Hey everybody, Red X Rain here. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Play every Star Wars game ever. Now, last time when I came out with one of my Star Wars videos, which was quite some time ago, I know, about 5 or 6 months ago, I had said then with, Ewok Adventure, that was going to be the end of the Atari age and console games, and that's still mostly true. The graphics here, as you're seeing, right now we're just playing a game called simply Star Wars. Looks like it could be on the Atari. Well, that's because it was. This game, very, very popular game at the time, and generally it's noted as being an arcade game, as in, arcade cabinet style type of thing. Not home console, not Atari or any of the other kind of systems. And I had really hoped to emulate on, maybe through something like MAME, to emulate how this game looked and played on and sounded on that original arcade cabinet. However, it's a very difficult game to emulate in MAME or other. I mean, that's the main arcade cabinet emulator, right? I even tried a couple of other ones. I troubleshooted for a really long time, but unfortunately this game just doesn't really work that way. Fortunately, however, this game was so overwhelmingly successful as an arcade cabinet game that it was ported to almost every possible configuration and system of its time, and actually even much further. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I should probably talk about what's going on here with the actual game, because I'm moving through it pretty swiftly. I've had a lot of time to practice it, because I really, really like this one. I think this is the first game in this series that I really... Not that I hate the other games, but I really like this one. I can totally see why it was so successful. And I think I have played it in an arcade once or twice, but it kind of takes a while to get into and everything. But basically what we're doing here, as you can see, it's a very different type of game. It's basically a rail shooter, which I don't have anything to back this up, and I'm not claiming to be like a huge expert on all games of like the early 80s and the arcade era, but rail shooters like this, I feel like this has got to be one of the first, at least popular rail shooters. Again, I have really nothing to back that up. It's just kind of thinking, what experience I do have with gaming and gaming history and stuff. But as you can see, what I'm moving around is that little X cursor, and I'm just shooting down TIE fighters. So, like most games of this era, again, even though this didn't start as an Atari game, it's got that kind of like loop cycle going on, where basically there's 3 stages, and the first stage is like that dogfight stage, which just ended. Here, this is supposed to be simulating the scene from Star Wars: A New Hope, kind of like on the surface of the Death Star. So we're shooting down these, I guess they're like laser turrets, and you can see there's even like these like red particle-y things here, which I guess are supposed to be projectiles coming at you. And while this is, like I said, it's kind of a rail shooter, because I can't control how fast I'm going forward or backward. I can very loosely turn left and right, and that's really important on this screen, as you can see, because I can move either in between those pillars, or I can go, around them. And here you can see in the trench, which is obviously this is recreating the trench scene, I can move up and down and left and right as well, but again, no control over speed. Like most games of this sort of era and generation, yes, there's like a looping effect that goes on here. Same levels over and over again. It just gets increasingly difficult the further you go in. So the first time you do this trench, it's totally empty. You can just stay on the bottom the whole time. But as I've been doing here, you can see there's like these walls or lasers or something, basically stuff you can't run into. And of course the way that you end, following the film, more or less, the way that you end the trench level is, I've been doing it rather quickly, but along the bottom, there's, near the end of the trench, there's like a little, like a square, signifying the exhaust port, where in the film, Luke, of course, right, shoots the what does he shoot? He shoots like a proton torpedo, right, man, I've seen that movie so many times, you'd think I would remember. But I'm also trying to focus on the dogfighting here, because now the game's getting a little bit more difficult, because they're actually firing a lot more shots. There we go. And so that's really just what's kind of playing out here the whole time. It's just, again, things are getting a little bit faster, enemies are getting a little bit stronger. But yeah, we do have, very, very loose control of the ship here. It has a really weird kind of lag to it, which, in a way is kind of almost, I guess you could say almost like more authentic, because if you think about, I guess, how you would fly like a spaceship, like an X-Wing like this, is that, just because you push right a little bit doesn't mean you're going to jet immediately to the right. So it kind of drifts I mean, maybe you can kind of see it by how I'm moving my cursor and how, like, the landscape is drifting, but it actually feels really, like I said, I guess kind of authentic, which is equal parts admirable in terms of like the game design and everything, but also extremely frustrating, especially here where now these walls are coming at you faster and there's more of them, so you really got to kind of keep an eye out, and it's a little difficult to control, I'll admit. But usually my strategy in the trench is to kind of stay as low as possible whenever possible, because you don't want to miss the exhaust port. If you do, then you have to start the whole trench over again. Let's see, I think it's coming up. See if you can see it. It should be in the center here any second. There it is, there we go. We just need to shoot it once. And you can see at the top, the health is a little bit different. It took me a while, not having like an instruction manual to go off of or anything, how health works in this game. You'll see at the top, it says 7 right now. That means I can take 7 hits. When it goes to 0, then game over. You get your, every time you complete like the sort of the loop sequence of all 3 stages, it replenishes your health back to 7. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually doing really good on this playthrough, I gotta say. Not to toot my own horn here, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Here we got the Imperial fighters. Nope. Okay. And that's really just an endurance thing. You don't have to shoot all the fighters down. You can just kind of outlast them. Alright, now's where things... Oh, I'm gonna run into that. Okay. But so anyways, that's the basic controls of the game. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. And so I was saying before how kind of the history of this game is a very long history because it was so successful. So the original arcade cabinet came out in 1983, and it was a huge success. And actually, this sort of speaks to probably why I'm having a slightly more difficult time. It's maybe not quite as fun playing on like right now I'm emulating, so I'm using my keyboard, my left and right arrows and A button to fire and everything. But actually, the original arcade cabinet had like a kind of like a steering wheel to it. It was like a square steering wheel, and so it could move in those directions. And I'm guessing I'm actually gonna see. There's a really nice arcade not too far from my house. See, now the walls are getting trickier because I got split walls. I'm probably not gonna make it here. I'll try my best. There's a really nice arcade not far from my house that has a lot of games. So I'm gonna see, maybe I'll do. Oh, I did get it. Sweet. See if maybe I can do like a special episode where I go and I actually play the original arcade cabs and do like a camera setup or something. But I don't want to like infringe on, it's weird like recording in a business. Sometimes places don't like you doing that, but I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, started off as an arcade cabinet, but it was so successful that it got ported, like I said a little bit earlier, to pretty much every possible configuration of systems. So And of course, that lends itself to different publishers, so the graphics looked really different, and I'll try and pull up some of those. But right now, this version I'm playing right here is the Atari 2600 version. So the colors are a little limited, the sounds are a little limited, but from what I've read, the arcade cabinet has like digitized voices from the film. The graphics look a lot better, of course, because there's, you could do more with a cabinet then than you could with a home console, like even with something as arguably strong and stuff as the Atari. But it was on the Atari 2600, the 5200, the 8-bit Atari. It was on ColecoVision, the Commodore 64, all throughout like 83 and 84. But then even into like 87 and 88, they were still making ports of this game for like the Amiga, for the ZX Spectrum, what's the a couple of other kind of like other consoles, which has not really stood much of the test of time. But I think even like the last version of this game that was ported was, I think it was even on like the Apple II. Oh, and I died. But yeah, it was on the Apple II. There was DOS versions. Those came out even as late as 1988. So a really long history here. And of course, they all play and look a little different, but really essentially the same game. Yeah. So I think that about covers it. Just kind of flying through space here. It's kind of like reminds me of that old school Windows screensaver a little bit. But anyway, I think that's what I'm gonna leave off for now. So yeah. So until next time, may the force be with you.